Good afternoon everybody and welcome to the stream. I'm Robert from the El Magnifico Games channel, and today we're going to continue a playthrough of the Talos Principle 2. Now for those of you that aren't familiar with this game, it and its prequel are extremely lore heavy to the point that I can't possibly tell you everything that's happened up to this point. But what I will do is try to give you the cliff notes. Although even that's going to take a short while. So the concept of this game is we are an android. We live in a society of androids. Homo sapiens are extinct. A disease was released from some permafrost which Homo sapiens had no resistance to. And they had a short while to try and put plans in place to ensure there would be some sort of future. What they did was they built a bunch of android bodies out of the hardware they had available, but they couldn't yet create a human level AI to be loaded into these bodies. They didn't have that sort of technology. Software wasn't sufficiently advanced. So what they did was they set up a supercomputer running a evolutionary genetic algorithm which iteratively created more and more intelligent AIs until one AI managed to pass all the tests that were put before it, at which point it uploaded that AI to one of the android bodies. That android then prepared other android bodies, which, well, initially just the ones that had been left by the humans, who at that point had been extinct for a few hundred years. Took a while for it to evolve sufficiently intelligent AIs. It then created and loaded in new AIs by mixing the AIs which formed the last generation of AIs in the simulation. Because it's an evolutionary genetic algorithm, they can mix them together. That way they were able to create an infinite, well, not infinite, but a very, very large number of unique individuals who should all be extremely intelligent, all have human level intelligence. She called herself Athena. They set up a city called New Jerusalem. She became known as the founder and had something of a following because she is seen as being one of the people most instrumental in the establishment of their civilization. That is the first android that woke up from the simulation. Technically the only one, because all the other individuals were, as I say, mixtures of people that had come before. Anyway, she at one point set a goal to create 1,000 individuals, to have a population of 1,000, which was difficult because they only had, I think, 13 android bodies that worked when they woke up, so they had to, after that, develop infrastructure so that they could create new android bodies from scratch. But that was the goal they set. At some point they had a series of disasters which put them off the idea of growing, either in an expansionist sense of increasing their population and exploiting resources properly, but also, it would seem, in terms of technological development, or at very least it's been very badly hampered, because they basically got too scared after some avoidable accidents which killed some individuals and left the community reeling. Her original goal of reaching 1,000 individuals became known as a limit, that they shouldn't go above that. We are Android 1000. You may be able to just about make out on our chest the number 1000. Our birthday, if you could call it that, when we were turned on for the first time, that was known as Completion Day, and it's a celebration. But during the Completion Day celebrations, the individuals at New Jerusalem, that is the people that lived there, were contacted by a hologram in the sky. They don't have that sort of technology. That's beyond them. The hologram in the sky called itself Prometheus and invited them to an island. Long story short, we've been investigating this for some time now. We now know that after the founder left New Jerusalem, she left after they went somewhat conservative. I'm not sure that was to her tastes. She left, she came here, she built herself a daughter. Her boyfriend came for a while, Cornelius, but then he left, and we're not entirely clear why. All this was going on without the knowledge of the people at New Jerusalem. They just knew she was gone. Anyway, her boyfriend Cornelius, he told New Jerusalem that he was leaving on a research trip, and then he came back and never told them that he had found Athena or that she had a daughter. It looks like he may have been something of a father figure to her as well. Whether he was actually there before she was built or not, we don't know. Anyway, Athena's daughter is called Miranda. They built this place. They, in a short space of time, apparently developed technology far beyond anything that they have at New Jerusalem. And we still don't know why we've been invited here. Some other holograms have been a bit unhappy with our presence here, in particular the Sphinx and Pandora. We're not entirely clear why. We don't know where Athena is, or what ultimately happened here, why Cornelius left. We tried to contact Cornelius after we found out he'd been here, and he'd disappeared, and it looked like he was trying to reverse engineer some of the stuff that Athena had done to access some part of the facilities here. We don't know why. But he's disappeared now. Our expedition leader was involved in a accident where he got separated from the group, and we haven't seen him since. And that's where we are. So let's get into it.
Have you seen Miranda's design for a transport system that would connect all the labs to the machine?
It's amazing, isn't it? I think she's really excited about showing this place to people one day. She also kept asking me about what kind of monuments we could build, you know, to really transform the landscape, show the possibilities.
But her capsules only fit one person.
It's just the first iteration. Give her some time. She'll figure it out. Remember how many mistakes we made in the beginning, even with all the blueprints we had?
But that's not my point. It just worries me that she lacks context. Her imagination is incredible, but it's still limited by what she hasn't experienced.
Would it have been better if she'd been raised in New Jerusalem? If her mind was limited by self-hate and decay? If all she could imagine was sitting around ignoring the universe in favor of self-righteous solipsism?
No, but I don't know.
Sorry. You're not wrong. We can't stay hidden forever.
See, something that really worries me is the way that Cornelius apparently came back to New Jerusalem at some point, and he secluded himself. He not only didn't tell anyone about what happened here, but he actually secluded himself, and he studied the archives, but basically didn't interact with anybody very much, which does make me worry that something happened to Athena and Miranda. I wonder if there was some sort of accident and one or both of them passed on. I don't know. Centrifuge. Okie doke. Interesting name for a puzzle. Rotate platform counterclockwise. Rotate platform clockwise. This is the first time I remember seeing a switch that has actually been labelled like this. That's interesting. Okay. We have an inverter. Exactly what I'm to use it for, I'm unclear on. We have a connector. We're going to need an RGB converter if we want to make green. That or a green source. And there it is. Okay. I'm not sure they've called this centrifuge for any other reason than the fact that it rotates, though. I don't think we're actually centrifuging anything. I don't think we're separating anything out using centripetal force. Is it centripetal force? So let me just remind myself of this little bit here. Was this a red connector it had? Yeah, not connector, producer. I mean, that would seem to take us to the end. Honestly, that seemed a little easy. I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm just a little surprised is all. I guess it is the first puzzle of this area. And they haven't introduced any new concept this time. They usually introduce a new concept. Maybe the new concept is that this can be rotated? Maybe that's the new concept for this area? In which case they may have puzzles that can only be solved by like setting things up in one with the platform in one position and then rotating it. Hey Avon, lovely to see you. How are you today? Number 2.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets in my ball bearings.
The passageway. Interesting name for a puzzle. I'm good, you. I'm surviving. Thank you for asking. Are you familiar with this game at all? Interesting. Ah, you're not. Okay. I'm probably going to have to fill you in on a few details then. Or not much of this will make sense. It is a puzzle game. The basic concept is that you have, like, a very, very simple puzzle will be something like this. You have a blue producer, a blue receiver, and you have a connector, and you use the connector to pass the beam from one to the other. Oops. From one to the other, like so. And in this case, that lowers a force field, which allows us to keep going. There should be somewhere around here, I suspect in there, a little terminal thing we need to interact with. Getting to that is the final goal of any given puzzle. Well, there may be some other puzzles where they have different objectives, I don't know, but that's the basic formula. I am now dealing with the fact that they have introduced... So this is a new area, I've only recently come here, and every time we reach a new area they introduce a new concept. The new concept for this area appears to be rotating platforms. So as you can see, this is 2 exits, and a force field will be up while it's rotating. There's 2 fences, and I can spin this around. And yes, I then have to try and figure out how to solve the puzzles, how to get to the end. So in this case, I had to lower that force field to get to the rotating platform to begin with, but now that I've done that, I can get, because of the position I rotated it to, I can get in there without having that force field lowered. And that's useful because it means I can get the connector in here. And if I'm not mistaken, I should be able to get an angle here to lower that force field and get me a second connector. Incidentally, I've not seen this particular puzzle ever before. I'm very much just doing this on the fly. Essentially 3D connect the dots then. They have over the this is the second game in the series. They have over the course of the 2 games introduced enough new concepts that I think that may be too much of a simplification. But yes-ish. That's, in this case, that certainly seems to be the case. But there are puzzles that involve other types of interaction. Like we had some levels that were to do with anti-gravity a while back. Which, I mean, they involved the beams to a degree, but... It wasn't just connect the dots, if that makes sense. But yeah. Oops. Actually, no, that's a good idea. So one thing I've noticed here, you don't necessarily know Oh, that's actually going to be a problem. Now, you don't necessarily know which receiver does what. It's more of a, you know, look at the context and make your best guess type situation. So, for example, I am guessing that these two receivers do the same force field, and that it's an or type situation, where if one of them gets the beam, then the force field will be down, and if both of them have the beam for some reason, then the force field will be down. But for example, one of a very simple type of puzzle that you'll sometimes see would be, say, having a blue receiver here and a red receiver here. In which case, again, like the game doesn't tell you, but just by context, you kind of assume, well, that's an and. Then it probably wants me to get both beams to the force field to bring it down. And the fact that the receiver happens to do the force field, again, like that's just context dependent, because it's right next to it. That's what I assume it's doing. It wouldn't be an engaging puzzle game if it was just connect the dots. I just tend to oversimplify things to create a better basis from which to build my own understanding. Baby steps, you know. I understand. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm sorry if I seemed overly dismissive or anything. I certainly didn't intend to be. Right, so I've now, if I've understood correctly, I've connected this up in such a way that it's self-sustaining. I can take the other connector out from over there, and this should stay down. Incidentally, you may be wondering what happens if we touch the lasers. They can't harm us. Our body can block them, but the game usually gives us like a short window of opportunity to move through them without any consequences. So I can walk through that just fine, but if I stood there blocking it, then it would have blocked off the lasers, which would have caused a problem. But you can have puzzles that are designed around that, where you're supposed to set up some sort of structure, and then it's actually part of the puzzle that you're supposed to then body block. Oh, you want red? Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Incidentally, I didn't know that I would need to have two connectors spare. It was just I've done enough of these puzzles that it seemed like intuitive that I probably would, if that makes sense. Like, it would have been possible that I got round this corner, which I'd never seen before, and found that one connector would have been enough. It's just that it just seemed unlikely, right? Like, far more likely that the developers designed this in such a way that oh, I did that the long way, that I would need to use every connector available to me. Right, I think that's this one done. Indeed. No problem, we weren't really dismissive at all, to be honest.
With the drone, sending you the coordinates.
I'm just giving you a warning for possible future weird descriptions. That's absolutely fine. Weird descriptions are absolutely fine. I should probably give you. I gave a quick rundown of the lore of this game at the start of the stream, as I usually do. Oh, hang on. I'll have a word with this individual. I think it's Alcatraz. Nope, they don't want a conversation right now, which is fine. Yeah, I did give a brief summary of what's happened so far at the beginning of the stream, but I'll do so again since I assume you didn't hear that. Or were you here for that? In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I've noticed there's a question mark on the compass, so I know that there's something up here. Oh, it looks like a lore dump. So blue barriers block you, but purple ones are just for aesthetics? No, good question. Purple barriers, blue barriers will block anything. Purple barriers only block objects from passing through, but don't block the player. So if I tried to carry something out, if I tried to carry object from area A to B and there was a purple force field in the way, it would get stuck in whichever area it was in initially. So area A in that case. I think you can pass beams through it though. That doesn't actually come up very often. Were you there when I started the stream? I'm just and did you hear my explanation of the story so far? Because I'm pretty sure we're about to get another lore dump, and so this would be a good time to bring you up to speed if not. Nope, I was setting up my crystals for charging. Your crystals? You've piqued my interest. What are your crystals? That's not like a crystal set in the radio sense, is it? Right, lore so far. Witchcraft, literally. Oh, right. Well, it would be interesting to hear more about that. I assume it's a hobby of yours. But I'll start with just the explanation of the story so far. Humans are dead. Or more specifically... Hang on, I just noticed there's a blue receiver up there. That's interesting. That's going to be part of some optional puzzle that will get me extra content, I should think. But I've decided I'm going to do all the, like, optional stuff after I finish the rest of the game. Anyway. Humans are dead. A disease was released by from permafrost and wiped them out. They had enough time to put some sort of plan into action. They used the technology they had at the time to build a bunch of android bodies, but they couldn't yet build an AI intelligence which was comparable to a human being. So they had the hardware but not the software. What they did was they set up a supercomputer running a genetic evolutionary algorithm that was iteratively creating more and more intelligent artificial intelligences, one generation at a time. Once a artificial intelligence had passed all the tests that had been programmed in, the program then uploaded that artificial intelligence to an android body. This took a few hundred years. Humans were very dead by the time the first android woke up. That android was called Athena. There were a few other android bodies lying around at that point that the humans had left behind. She became known as the Founder, and the first androids she created were called the Companions. There were 12 of them. And the Companions weren't individuals from the simulation like she was, but rather combinations of the last generation of artificial intelligences. So using that tech, because it's a genetic algorithm, they're able to combine them. And so that way they were able to create a very large number of unique individuals, all of which should be comparable to a human being in intelligence. She initially set a goal of building 1,000 individuals, getting up to a population of 1,000. They then suffered a series of accidents which led to loss of life, and they built a city they called New Jerusalem. They suffered a series of accidents which led to loss of life, and then most of the population at New Jerusalem became extremely conservative. They weren't interested in harnessing new resources in the way they should, and the city started to become a bit dilapidated, things not being properly maintained like they should be. And they stopped developing technologically at the rate that they should have done. The Founder left. And from the point of view of those that lived in New Jerusalem, that's the last they ever saw of her. We know better now. So this whole idea of reaching a 1,000 individuals as a goal got turned into a limit. They said, right, never more than 1,000 individuals because we don't want to cause serious harm to the environment that would result from the, building the infrastructure they would need to have more people. We are Android 1000. If you look carefully, you may be able to see 1000 on our chest. Our birthday, if you will, was called Completion Day. During the celebrations, they were contacted by a giant hologram in the sky which called itself Prometheus. This was a surprise to everybody. They do not have that sort of technology. The Prometheus invited them to go to an island, which is where we are now. And on the island, they found very technologically advanced ruins. We've discovered quite a lot since then. It turns out that Athena actually came here, and it looks like she built herself a daughter, Miranda, and her boyfriend also came to see her. Her boyfriend was called Cornelius. We know Cornelius because shortly after Athena left New Jerusalem, he left on a research trip, came back years later, didn't tell anyone about what had happened on his trip, and seemed very sad and depressed and cut himself off from most people, but he was still a member of New Jerusalem. But we now know that Athena, Miranda and Cornelius were living here at the same time, and that they were developing new technologies that were far more advanced than anything they have in New Jerusalem. That's more or less where we're at. We tried to contact Cornelius after we found out that he had been here, and he's taken off. It looks like he's tried to reverse engineer from some notes we found that he left behind. It looks like he was trying to reverse engineer some of the stuff that Athena had built to try and get to some particular part of the ruins, but we don't know what that part is or why he's doing that. We really have no clue. And we haven't seen him since. The only other noteworthy thing to say is the leader of our expedition force, Byron, was involved in an accident that caused him to get cut off from the rest of the group, and we haven't seen him since. So that's more or less where we are. I realise that was a lot, but believe it or not, that is the short version. Right, let's see what we've got here. The riches. From selected archived documents. Getting rich was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I see that now, at the end, when the insight is useless. Not being poor was great, but no longer having to worry all the time, being able to afford the best doctors, being able to go on holidays, being able to take care of my mother. Oh sorry, I think I said but there, but I shouldn't have. Not being poor was great, no longer having to worry all the time, etc, etc. But being rich, it just isolated me. It changed every interaction with every other person, because suddenly I had the ability to change their life, to fix all their problems, and they knew it, and I knew it. A simple choice on my part could take away so much of their pain. Every interaction became infected by this inequality between us, and it made me bitter, made me feel every relationship, even with family, was transactional. I was desperately looking for some genuinely human experience, but I seemed excluded from that now, and it made me resent everyone. What I didn't see, why I only see now as I'm dying, is that I could have used that money for good, all of it. I don't mean giving it to some NGO run by other rich people, I mean really using it. I loved movies. How many indie movies could I have financed? How many books could I have gotten published? And how much could I have just built? Not another villa for myself, but things that would benefit civilization in general. I could have just given it away. Made all those lives better, taken away that pain. And if at the end of the day I was only left with enough money to be upper middle class, so what? At least I would have been the person I wanted to be. Author Rosebud Liquidator _44. Athena. So this is probably a document that was left behind by the humans, because they built a huge archive of everything they could when they were building the androids. So that obviously includes literature of all sorts and scientific documents and so on, but it also includes just like stuff that was on the web. Someone wrote this at some point, and the comments here is going to be from the androids looking back on this, because they have their own history studies where they look back at what the humans were like and so on, although they call themselves humans as well. Because they consider themselves to be humans' direct descendants. I know that most probably won't get the reference, but this lore sounds almost like a combination of Nier and Gurren Lagann. I have played Nier and I have watched Gurren Lagann. Hang on, I'm just loading the story of Gurren Lagann in my head because it's been a while. It's been a few years. Wasn't Gurren Lagann a bit iRobot-y, if I recall correctly? The witchcraft explanation is going to take a while to type out, so consider me lurking for a bit. No worries? I don't want to spoil the story of Gurren Lagann for anyone that hasn't seen it, but I seem to remember there being a bit of a iRobot-y twist, if you're familiar with iRobot. Then again, maybe if someone is familiar with iRobot, perhaps I've just spoiled Gurren Lagann for them, but still. Can't change what I've already done, or already said. Nier's lore was a bit weird. I don't think we ever really got a clear picture of what the machines were actually up to, did we? We got some, like, sort of indicators. Like, there was, like, lots of documents in the game that, like, gave some sort of record of what they were thinking, but it didn't entirely make sense, if I recall correctly. Anyway, Athena. Resource wealth as such has no value. It only matters in terms of the ability to act. But what made this ancient human so unable to act? It can't have been a personal failing, as most people of similar wealth acted the same way. Cornelius. Perhaps the answer lies in scarcity, or a system built on it, naturally optimizing towards resource accumulation. Historical circumstance is not individual sin. Miranda. But I've read about rich ancients who did act differently. They were rare, but they did exist, so it's possible for people to defy the will of history. From Tinculo to Athena. So this is probably an email that someone sent Athena after she disappeared. This is one of the things I sort of like disagree with in terms of the lore of this game. There is this idea that after she left, people carried on sending her emails. Well, that on its own makes sense. The issue is, she appears to have been receiving them and just choosing not to reply to them. But how do you send an email without leaving an electronic trail? Like, every server, they form, when you send an email, it forms a daisy chain of servers that gets the email to its proper destination. The point is, if these emails were actually getting to a machine where Athena could read them, then she must have been connected to the New Jerusalem network, even if remotely. Like, there must have been a continuous chain of machines which ultimately brought her back to their servers, or else how could she have received the email? So they should have been able to reverse engineer that and find out where she was, but they didn't. Or at least, you know, perhaps it wouldn't immediately tell them where it was, but it would have given them a chain to follow. They could have used that to figure out where they could have done some detective work based on that would have ultimately led to them finding her, but they didn't. Anyway, from Trinculo to Athena. It's all a joke, isn't it? A giant prank perpetrated on all of us. The goal, the founder, the simulation. I don't even think you exist. I don't think biological humans ever existed either. What nonsense. I bet these messages just go to the mayor's inbox or straight to the recycling bin. I disapprove of you all. Laughing. Yeah, so she left early enough that there were a lot of androids that would have been built late enough that they never met her, and presumably this is one of them. Founding, Journal number 9, from Hypatia's Journals, Volume 1, The Founding of New Jerusalem, day 676. Hypatia was one of the founders, incidentally, so this would have been This would have been when there weren't many androids at all. Certainly less than 20, I'd have thought. After the chaos of the last months, quiet has returned to the city. I suppose we're calling it a city now, although this small collection of dwellings inhabited by a mere 25 people seems to barely deserve that designation. Okay, so they're up to 25. We'll have to come up with an actual name soon. I suspect after the first 1 or 2 decades, calling it the city is going to get a little bit stale. Everyone has an opinion, of course. It's the talk of the town these days. I'm personally hoping that New Alexandria will win out of the vote next week, although I suspect Elohim's legacy carries the most weight. Byron came up with some silly suggestions like Constantinople, Very New York, and Robot Paris. And there's a bunch of ASCII here, which we'll transliterate. This is one of the things that I'm not so keen on about this game. They had this idea, the developers, in the first game, that they would like include ASCII. They would include ASCII encoded text inside some of the text files as like some sort of, to simulate some sort of like file corruption and information leaking. It doesn't really make sense because those, if you put those numbers into a text file, it would be displayed as text, as it were, if you put it in as binary data. So it's actually, for this to make sense, someone would have to take the numbers and then find the ASCII code for those digits and then put those digits in, which doesn't make sense. That's not something that would naturally happen. But even if you, but that's not the reason I don't like it. That's just an observation. The thing that I don't like about it is how often they encode messages like this. Because I have the sort of mind where I need to look this stuff up. Like, if you're putting that information there, I am going to put the effort in to find out what it actually says. I won't... hang on. I won't feel comfortable just leaving it. But the amount of time I've actually spent in these games, literally just copying out these numbers, is too much. His blood is the blood in our veins. That's what it says. That's the message within a message. That's supposed to be, as I say, like the corruption. So some other file somewhere. That's probably a classical quote, incidentally. Might even be from the Bible, for all I know. But I think the idea is somehow that's leaked into that file from another file, but it doesn't make sense, and it's very... I wouldn't mind so much if they did it far less often and with smaller messages. Like, this much text isn't too bad, but I have literally seen like entire pages of just numbers that I end up typing up, and it is incredibly frustrating. Witchcraft is a spiritual path, not a hobby. Unique to each individual. Part of my practice involves the use of crystals to correspond to different types of energy. Oh my goodness, it's an Olivia raid. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. I'll finish reading what Avon had kindly written up. I use the crystals to correspond to different types of energy. I need some luck, jade, processing grief, Apache tears, that sort of thing. Pretty much any witch will tell you that objects such as crystals lose their energies after a while and stop feeling quite as magical. I, in order to prevent this, take care to cleanse my crystals and my altar of energies and charge them with new ones once a week. I see. Hey Olivia, it's lovely to see you. How did your stream go? Also, welcome raiders. I try to cleanse on Saturday and charge on Sunday, but sometimes have to move the cleansing charging schedule around. This is an audio log, so I can just have this playing while I read chat.
This one seems to be corrupted. It's almost like something tried to delete it as you were downloading it. Pandora, maybe.
That would make sense. How are you, Olivia? How did your stream go? And how's everyone in chat doing? This is a Talos stream. Talos is a puzzle game. It was good, a short one, because I've got to be somewhere today. Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with a short stream. I'm glad it was good. Started a new Nancy mystery. Oh, right. When you say a new Nancy mystery, do you mean new to you? Or do you mean a new game's come out? The passageway. Did I do this one? I did this one. Where's the next one? 3 we're looking for. 3's this way. Oh, there's a hologram. That's going to be a recording of a conversation that was had. New as in I haven't streamed it yet.
She's remarkable, isn't she? She sees so much beauty in everything.
She is, you're right.
They're talking about Miranda,
But I'm not sure she doesn't see too much beauty.
their daughter.
Is it wrong to be delighted by the perfection of the universe? To look at what surrounds us and experience awe instead of just fear?
No, but to call it perfection implies a kind of moral value that it doesn't have. The universe is cold, Athena. It doesn't care about us, or about life, or civilization. It fundamentally cannot care. But Miranda seems to think it's almost benevolent, purposeful.
You're right. But have you considered that maybe she sees something we can't see? A step ahead? You know, Cornelius, if we succeed, the next generation will not be like us. They might see the world in ways we never could have imagined. Maybe she's the first sign of that.
I hope so. I really do, Athena. You know that I love her, and I am perpetually amazed that this being we created that came solely from our minds is so profoundly different and unique. That does strike me as a kind of miracle.
That is new
It's
information.
also a huge responsibility, and I worry about our choices.
So, for those that aren't aware, we're an android. Humans are dead. Androids rule the earth, sort of. We didn't know that... We hadn't confirmed that they'd created Miranda together. Now we know that for a fact. And we certainly didn't know they'd combined their minds. So again, they would... These artificial intelligences were originally developed using a genetic evolutionary algorithm, so it makes sense that they could have taken elements of both of their algorithms and combined them in a genetic way. But we didn't know they'd done that, and I don't think that's how any other android has been built up to this point. Sorry, I'll catch up with chat now. I would like to stream all of the Nancy Drew games eventually. I've played all of them before, at least once. Goodness, I hope you get the chance. Lurking and streaming. Lurking and streaming, goodness. I was meaning to ask Art Dad, how did your 7-game stream go? Because I know you'd finished, or you were getting right up to the end of Sekiro, when I went to bed, but by the morning you'd stopped, and I was just a little worried because I knew you were planning to keep on going, and then I was just a little worried because you'd been going for like 25 hours up to that point. So the daughter believes in a higher power. That's a good question. Does she believe in a higher power? She certainly seems to believe, as they put it, she certainly seems to see the universe as beautiful and as having meaning beyond just mechanical reality. No iPhones, Androids won the war. Okay, El Magnifico, I've got a dash. Catch you later. No worries. Thank you for the raid, I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Finished DS2 today and running DS3 now. I did stop and slept all day yesterday. I do not blame you at all. You did the right thing. See you, Olivia. Take care. dismantling. So that's what this puzzle is called. Okay, so I'll give a rundown of the story so far again. Actually, I should probably give an explanation of puzzles first, just because that's what I'm actually going to be doing. This is a box. I can stand on it and I can drop it on pressure plates. Interesting. So that's what that does. This is a new mechanic. I know this might seem really fundamental, but I don't think I've ever seen an elevator before in this game. That's a new one to me. Is there anything else I need to explain here before I carry on? I don't see where the end is of this puzzle, which is slightly off-putting. I don't know where I'm trying to get to. Oh, this is a teleporter. Okay. Well, a teleporter does exactly what you'd think it would do. Okay, so if I put a weight down there, I can move that platform. So I was going to give you an explanation of how the puzzles work. Wow, that's made... Oh, okay. I see. I was going to give you an explanation of how the puzzles work in this game, but they've literally just thrown a load of new mechanics at me, which I've never seen before. So I'm working this out as you are. Frankly, the teleporter works like you'd think. I look at it, well, maybe it isn't obvious. You look at it, and you can teleport to it. And I can pick it up. So one very obvious thing to try would be to put it on that platform, get the platform moving. Ah, I need to wait continuously on there. That's going to be interesting. I could use the teleporter as a weight, but then what? That doesn't help. I think I had the right idea before when I thought of putting the teleporter on here, except I'm gonna need some other weight. Ah. If I hold this down till it gets to the end, does it stay over there for a few seconds? No. Oh wait, but the teleporter goes down. Sorry, not the teleport. The force field goes down on both sides, so I can teleport over here. So maybe if I run as soon as I teleport over there, I'll get to the other side. Nope, that didn't work. We're going to get meta with it. In the game's universe, does have an additional purpose to tell a story. This is true. Very good point. So the story so far. Human beings found out... human beings are dead. A disease was released from some permafrost, which ultimately wiped them out. But they had enough time to put some sort of plan in place. What they did was they built some android bodies, but they didn't yet have the know-how to create... They didn't yet know how to create an artificial intelligence that was comparable to a human mind. So they set up a supercomputer that was using a genetic evolutionary algorithm to create successively more and more intelligent AIs. And once a AI had passed all the tests that were built into the program, they then uploaded the successful AI to one of the android bodies. This took a few hundred years, and the first android woken up called herself Athena. She came out of the so-called simulation. She then found some other android bodies lying around that the humans had left, and she used the last generation of AIs in the simulation to combine them, because again it was a genetic evolutionary algorithm, so you can combine them to create a new generation. She combined them to create new artificial intelligences, which she then uploaded to the android bodies. So she was able to make a very, very large number of unique individuals that all should be about as intelligent as a human being. The first 12 of which were known as the founders, because that's how many bodies android bodies the human beings had left behind. There were 13 in total. they established a city called New Jerusalem, and then they set up the infrastructure needed to build more android bodies, and then they carried on creating new individuals. The founder, Athena, set a goal of getting up to 1,000 individuals. But after a series of disasters, avoidable accidents even, which led to loss of life, the inhabitants of New Jerusalem became extremely conservative, and they stopped exploiting resources like they should be, they stopped maintaining things like they should be, and they stopped developing technologically like they should be. They just became too scared. Athena left, no one saw her again. The goal of reaching 1,000 individuals became a limit. They said that, okay, we'll never go over 1,000 because we don't want to do damage to the environment, which could come from having too many individuals, because if you have more individuals, you need more infrastructure, you need more resources that you're continually getting, and so on. They didn't want to do to the planet what ancient humans had done, because they call themselves humans as well. We're Android 1000. You may be able to see the 1000 on our chest. Our birthday, as it were, was called Completion Day, because that's when they reached the pop cap, the population limit they'd set. On that day, they were contacted by a hologram in the sky calling itself Prometheus. They did not have the technology to do that, so they knew they were being contacted by some outside force, outside faction of some sort. Prometheus invited them to an island, which is where we are now. They got to the island and they found ruins which contained very advanced technology. We've been doing a lot of exploring since then. We now know that Athena came here and subsequently her boyfriend Cornelius joined her. Cornelius did leave New Jerusalem. He came back years later. He seemed very depressed and didn't talk about what had happened when he was gone. And just started studying the archives. That is what remains of what's left of human knowledge, and just kept to himself. Anyway, Athena came to this place. Cornelius joined her. They built Miranda, their daughter, and then they very quickly, it would appear, built some very, very advanced technology indeed. And that's about all we know. We don't know what happened to Athena and Miranda, and we don't know why Cornelius came back on his own. We did try to find Cornelius after we found out he'd been here, but he'd taken off, and some notes he'd left on his computer seemed to indicate that he had tried to reverse engineer some of the technology that Athena had built to get into a particular part of the ruins. We don't know what part of the ruins that is, and we don't know why he's doing that. But we've lost track of him. The only other notable thing to know is that our expedition leader Byron got separated from us in a little accident, and we haven't heard from him since. So that's the story so far. The permafrost disease has some real-world precedent. There's a place in the world where it's illegal to die because it's too cold and diseases get preserved in the bodies. You say it's illegal to die, but what exactly are they going to do? How do they enforce that one? But yeah, wasn't there... I seem to remember hearing a case of reindeer... what was it? Reindeer were carriers of... were capable of carrying some sort of horrible disease which had got preserved in permafrost. It might be TB, or I might be misremembering. But yeah, I seem to remember hearing about some sort of disease epidemic in the early 20th century, like in the 1910s or something, and then they found out that reindeer were carrying some of that, or were potentially going to become carriers of that disease more than 100 years later, because in that part of the world the frost was starting to melt and it had gotten back to that level, and they thought that the disease was being released. Sending sick and elderly people away pre-mortem. Oh, I see. Now I need to try and figure out how I solve this puzzle, because I am a little lost. Oh, I get it, I think. Yeah, this is kind of obvious now. Sorry, I suppose I was just thinking about so many other things that I was a bit stupid. I'm pretty sure I can teleport up to this from below. So all I probably have to do is stand here and teleport up there and then run. No, because this drops too quickly. That doesn't work. Okay. I take it back. This isn't so simple. What? Can I put it here? Ah, that'll probably do it. Yeah. I don't know if this is how I was intended to solve this one. There we go. Right, and the big advantage here is I now have access to a weight that I can use to send the platform over. So I'm now free to walk around and I can teleport over here. Progress. I can grab this. Question is, what do I do next? I'm guessing here, I probably put that there. I need to get back over here though, really. Which is a problem, because I no longer have a teleport to get me up there. I have an idea. Go down here, weight that down. My idea is I no longer need to have that pressure plate pressed down. I can press this pressure plate down instead. And we're over here. Ah, that's the end of the puzzle. Excellent. Another puzzle solved. Incidentally, anyone that hasn't played this game before is perfectly welcome to assist me in solving puzzles and so on. That's my general rule. I don't want to have like puzzles and stuff spoiled. But I am happy to solve puzzles with chat, if that makes sense. Oh, hello, is that a rabbit? What is that? It's a rabbit! What a good boy or girl. Look at them go. Sorry, I should probably focus on what we're actually supposed to be doing here. Four is this way. Hang on. Are there any question marks that we can visit? Yes, there are some question marks we can and probably should visit. Oh, there's another one of these monuments. Oh, looks like it wants me to send a signal there. Very interesting. This is one of the puzzles that I'm likely to do after I've completed the rest of the game. I'm intending to go back and do all of those ones later. Because that's going to be an extra hard optional puzzle. Where's this question mark sending me? It's sending me a long way away. Believe it or not, I didn't know these question marks existed until someone commented on one of my videos and told me. Which I'm very grateful that they did. Because imagine all the things I'd have missed out on if they hadn't. I think this might be one of the double triangle puzzles, as I call them. Yes, because you've got a triangle inside a triangle. That's my name for them. I don't know what their proper name is. These are optional puzzles. They're usually a bit harder than the ones you get in the main level, although it does vary a bit. Convolution. Interesting. So there's a few things that are notable here. Actually no, there's about one thing that's interesting. This is a blue producer, but it's behind a fence. Now the beam can't travel through the fence, but it can travel over it. So this tells me that we're supposed to get a signal up high, which is interesting. That's something we'll have to keep an eye out for. How we would get high. Right, that's our goal. So we're just trying to get blue here. So actually, getting the blue from there to here is the puzzle. Once we've done that, we've solved it. Getting blue here is another option. That's an accumulator. An accumulator is one of the tools they added in this game. So an accumulator, you connect it up to a producer, and then it charges up, and it then can produce that beam wherever you place it. So it's a very powerful tool to have. Using that, I could, for example, in theory, extract the blue from here, and then just plop the accumulator down here and power the blue receiver here. One thing that's really nice about accumulators is the fact that they only take like a second or two to charge, but then they can produce a beam forever. So far as I could tell, they don't run out. Which isn't very realistic, but it is extremely useful. I think the developers made the right decision there. It'd be frustrating if it worked otherwise. But in all seriousness, I haven't figured out yet how I'm going to get the blue signal out of there. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to get the blue here and then I get the accumulator. That seems obvious. I just want to check something quickly. There isn't multiple entrances to this same puzzle, is there? It is rare. In fact, I'm not sure if we've ever seen that before, but you absolutely could do that. There's no technical reason why it couldn't be done. No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like there's only one way in. I mean, if there were boxes here, for example, that would be another way that it could be done. How we could get a connector up high. But obviously that's not the case. Oh, this! This'll be it. Ah, right, I get it. Okay. I'm guessing then that I'll be able to get the blue there like so. No, I can't. That's interesting. This wouldn't have been enough, because even if this had connected up, I'd have still had to run round to get there, and by then the force field would have been back up. But I just wanted to establish whether on its own that was enough of a connection. Like if I'd have still had to have found a weight for this pressure plate, is what I'm getting at. But I wanted to know whether that solves this part of the puzzle, and it doesn't. And it doesn't look like there's another way to bring this force field down either, which is very interesting. Because that implies I need to keep the red going. I wouldn't need to keep the red going if I was on the other side, but that doesn't make sense. How could I pick up that connector and move it to somewhere useful if I need to stay on this side the whole time so that the force field doesn't come up and block me off? That doesn't make sense. Hang on, do you have an angle on the blue from here? No, you don't. Occasionally you get puzzles where you end up sending multiple beams to a connector, and then you use various tricks to change which producer is powering it at a given moment, so that you can then have it like toggle. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. No, this puzzle's got me stumped so far. Certainly the trickiest we've had yet. That's notable. If I stand here, almost on top of the blue one, where I can see is a good indicator of where the connector has to be. Well, we can see through here, but we cannot see over here. That does imply that I'm supposed to be using two connectors here. See, I comprehend that I could pick this connector up and I could complete the circuit that way, but I would be on the wrong side of the force field that would have just come up. Which isn't very helpful. So I could do something like that. I know this isn't going to work, but... I get... Oh, I think I get it. I think I've... Do I get it? I've seen one thing I can do. This connector that I placed down, I could also connect it up to the accumulator. Ah, yes, I think this is the solution. I think I have just solved it. So this is going... What's going to happen here is when I stand on the pressure plate to raise this platform, the blue circuit is going to complete, and it's going to send a signal to this connector, which is going to send a signal to this receiver, which is going to drop the force field, but then a blue signal will be transferred to the accumulator, and the accumulator will charge. Like so. That accumulator is now charged with blue, which is what we wanted. The thing that's non-obvious about this puzzle is that I don't think I'm ever even able to move the accumulator, let alone meant to do it. Although, actually, maybe I'm wrong. I was thinking I now use the blue here to get a signal here. But the trouble with that theory is I still need to bring this down. Which I can do, actually. Because I can make it self-powering. Sorry, I'm solving this one step at a time, as it were. I've placed that poorly. I can't see the complete solution, but I can I can see what is likely to be the next step. There, now it's self-powering, like I wanted it to be. So that means I should be able to get in there and move the accumulator. There's a problem though. The moment I pick up that accumulator, am I not going to get trapped in here? I think I would. There doesn't appear to be another way out of here. Yeah, I can't pick this up because if I do, that force field comes up and I'm trapped. No, because this connector's already been connected up to this receiver. So, yes, I pick this up, the force field comes up, but I can then do that. Right, so I can get out. And that's actually been very useful because by moving where the accumulator is, I can get it round this right angle, which I couldn't have done previously. Puzzle solved. That was a good one. That,
Okay? You're not entirely terrible at this.
Oh, thank you. It took me a while. Yeah, unfortunately that wasn't one of those puzzles where I have a epiphany moment and suddenly the entire solution becomes clear to me. That was very much stumbling through. Just having a good educated guess at the next step. At the next step at each stage. Still, we managed it. Right, I'm heading towards another question mark now, so this is probably going to be a lore dump. Probably. Wherever it is. Where is it? I don't know. Over here? Judging the objects on the compass get bigger and smaller depending on how close or far away you are. But this one seems to have been large for a long time, which is throwing me off a bit. Up here, maybe? No? Where did the question mark go? Oh, was that it? Probably. Could this be the other double triangle puzzle? Or is this a lore dump? It's the other double triangle puzzle. Okay. Like I say, these are optional, but I like to do them. Transfer. Ah, that's an anti-gravity pad. And it's got a... what is that? I think that's one of the gravity shifters on it. I can head up here and I can grab a connector. Can I see anything up here that's useful? Strangely, I think not. Also, I can't get this connector out of here because there's a purple field there, which rather raises the question, what is the point in being able to grab this connector in the first place? And no, I can't suspend a connector in the air using a fan because it doesn't stay completely central. It will just like drift to one side or the other and fall off. But you can do it with a box. Boxes, for some reason, will be held completely central, and then you can put any sort of tool on top of a box which is being held aloft by a fan. Right, so I'm trying to get a red signal from there over here. That doesn't solve the puzzle, it just gets us one step closer. Ah, more anti-grav. Interesting. What does this do? I don't know. It moves where the anti-gravity pad is. Why? What's the use in that? Okay, if I go back up here, can I grab the red from here? I cannot. But I could grab it from here. Yes, so beams can go through purple force fields. There we go. So we're one step closer to having a solution. As you can see, I can walk up anti-gravity pads, as you'd expect, and if it looks trippy to you, I assure you it's even more trippy for me. Ah, I see. So I'm trying to get a red signal here. This would be easy if I could just get a connector over here. That's all I'd have to do. But I'd still need a red signal there, actually, thinking about it. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to get in there. Right, is this going to take me where I think it's going to take me? Yes. Good. That works then. This feels trivial. That was easy. Huh. Okay. And then all I would need to do is set that up. Oh, I've made a mistake. Ah, I may have mucked this up now. There's me saying it's all trivial, and now I think I have actually made a mistake. Oh no, I haven't. This is... Oops. As always, this has been well designed by the developers. It's hard to get yourself into an unrecoverable state. Not necessarily impossible, but hard. Right, that goes there. Now I jump down. That was my mistake, incidentally. I should have left the connector on the anti-gravity pad. And there's a very good reason for that. I use this gravity shifter to... It creates a sort of tractor beam. If I've set this up correctly, when this anti-gravity pad moves, it's going to cause it to go in front of the tractor beam we just created, which has caused the connector to appear over there. I've just realised a problem though. I think I needed it to already be connected up to the... Oh, well designed again, so I can get this back. What was I saying? Oh! I didn't know that the gravity shifter would track. Would track where it's producing the tractor beam. That's good to know for the future. What was I thinking? Yeah, this is the problem with trying to solve puzzles one step at a time. Sometimes you'll reach a point where you think, oh wait, like I had the sort of right idea, but there was this one crucial step that I forgot to do first. It's just happened to me. So I think I needed to connect that connector up to the red, even though that connector cannot currently receive the red, but because once it's been grabbed by the tractor beam and moved to the other side, now it can get the red. And that is super crucial, because that's how I'm going to get through here. Or is it? I thought it was. There we go. I had to take a very long path. And now I think we've got this solved. I like the music. There's a sort of robotic singer that's singing very, very quietly. Almost a bit Vocaloid-y, unless I'm just mishearing. I think they're there though, they're just really quiet. Oh well, music's changed. Right, that's both double triangle puzzles done. There's only 2 in any given area. So we've done well there. What I would expect there to be left for us to do is obviously the 5 remaining normal puzzles, plus at least 1 more lore dump and 1 lab. A lab's just an area we go to for story progression. Although labs often also have another lore dump in them, in addition to the other lore dump I referred to. Anywho, let's keep going. Right, 4 this way. Control. Okie dokie. So we have a blue receiver. That's a driller, I think. Oh yeah, so we can drill a hole through this wall. If you see a copper wall, this looks like copper to me. It can be drilled through. Drillers only temporarily create a wall, though. It's not. It's not permanent. I have access to another connector now. That's the end. So getting a blue signal there is the ultimate goal of this puzzle. What's this gonna do? Okay. This is a very interesting development. Right, they've given this a very long warm-up time in order to prevent me from solving this the way I've tried to, I think. Although actually, I can probably do that. Yes. That gives me access to the driller, and there's no reason I would want to come back in here again anyway. I was trying to get the blue here, wasn't I? What do I need the driller for? Right, I've freed one connector. I drill a hole through here. Where's the blue? Over there. From here, you're not going to be able to see the blue, are you? No, you're not. That's not going to work. Do I care if the red's gone? I'm not sure if I do. Well, if I do, I can always put it back later. It may require a few more steps. What I'm struggling to understand now is why do I need the driller at all? What value is that offering? Oh, it's a weight. It has mass. I can use it to weigh down this pressure plate, but then I'm not using it as a driller. Ah, they've angled this so that I can't send a blue beam here with just one connector. That's fair enough. Okay. That gives me a different idea though. Just use a driller here instead. Like so. And then this here. Oh, they've angled it again to prevent me from doing that. This has been very carefully crafted. Then I probably am expected to use the driller as a driller and drill a hole. The only bit I'm struggling with is seeing what the point is. Let's start pulling stuff back. One of the things I'm struggling with is seeing how even if I... So this can rotate, right? And it feels like there's a few things that are going through my head. One of them is, if I put a hole through here, what's the point? That doesn't seem useful. I don't see what we gain by having a hole through there. But we know we can rotate this platform, and having a hole through there effectively does seem like it could be useful. But to do that, I need to have one of the connectors dedicated to maintaining a red beam, a red circuit. The trouble with that is that only gives me one connector left to connect up the blue. And how do I get blue from there all the way over there? Even with a hole through there, it doesn't seem doable. Still, I guess we'll need to try. It's the only thing I can think. Oh, I think I see. I think I see the solution now. This needs to both weigh down this pressure plate and create the hole. But with that hole established, I should now be able to connect this up. But then I need one more weight, so I haven't solved it. This will work if I stand on here, but then I can never get there. And as I say, that the connector that's transferring the red signal, I can't move that, or else this wall's gonna move out the way. So that one's completely spoken for already. I just have this one left. Oh, hang on. Is this part of the solution? Yes. So I was thinking about the various prerequisites for a solution, and like one of them is that 2 pressure plates have something weighed down on it. Another one is obviously connecting the dots, as it were, when it comes to the different circuit parts. Well, I was thinking, I only have 3 tools. I have the jammer, the driller, which is pressing down on a pressure plate, and I have 2 connectors, and I know it can't be the blue connector that's pushing down on that pressure plate, therefore it must be the red one, and that's when I realised that I could actually make a connection that way. Excellent, I think we've done it. We have! That was a good little one. Took me perhaps a little longer than it should have done for me to solve it, but we got there. That was an odd noise. Oh, there was probably that little sprite. That was released from the puzzle, if you were wondering. Looks like there's another question mark over here. I don't know if we can get to it safely. Oh wow, there's a whole area down there. I assume we'll get to that later. So even though it may be close to us as the crow flies, and is therefore showing up on the compass as though it's close, I don't think it is actually that close. Is this a staircase down? No, it is not. Oh, back this way for number 5, that's saying. Which is the exact opposite of what the compass would seem to indicate, but I'll trust them. Oh, I do go this way. Oh, this is a, this is one of those, it's like the tractor beam technology, it's a sort of magical elevator. Okay, it's not. We died. We've seen the same thing before, and I assure you it has been a magical elevator. But apparently in this instance it's not. I guess it's broken or something? Oh yeah, you see a working one over there. That's a magical elevator. This one's got a slightly more red shade to it. Red and magenta instead of purple. I guess that means it doesn't work? How do I get it working though? I think actually when we entered this area, Melville said something about one of the elevators wasn't working, so that's probably what they were talking about. Oh, Melville, just the person I wanted to speak to.
Yes?
What's going on with the megastructure systems?
Now, I suspect Byron is still logged in, and his presence has thrown everything out of whack. Entire subsystems are locked down, and everything that depends on those subsystems is disrupted.
Have you heard anything from Byron at all?
There was a short burst of noise on the frequency we used to communicate, but that could have been anything.
What can you tell me about Cornelius?
He taught me a lot when I was young. Nowadays, people just know him as the museum curator, but back then, he was closely involved with every engineering project, and he was brilliant. When he encountered a problem, he'd always remain calm and keep working at it until he found a solution. I wish I could be that patient.
Why didn't Athena and Cornelius just vanish together? That's a good question. Why did they go separately?
If I had to guess, I'd say so that Cornelius could still go back for anything they needed. He was always leaving on expeditions anyway, looking for materials for his projects.
That's actually a very plausible explanation. That would make a lot of sense. What do you think about Miranda creating life? Yes, that is a good point. We talked about this last Talos 2 stream. So I said that they have this, that they seem to have developed this very advanced technology here. They seem to be able to create machines which can fabricate matter. I'm not sure if they're actually creating matter from scratch or if they're just reorganizing matter that already exists. But all these ruins you're seeing here, I think they used one of their machines to build it. It sort of turns them into it seems related to the hologram technology in the sense that you end up with like the sprites that you saw flying from some of the puzzles. It seems to turn matter into some sort of gaseous form or something, and then they can restructure it. So all these giant stone structures or concrete or whatever they are, they've been made by, like I say, these machines they've built. Which allows them to reorganize matter on a truly enormous scale. But Miranda decided to make some cyanobacteria using it, meaning she's now creating, well, this was probably a very long time ago, but she got to the point of creating life forms by reorganizing matter, which is a little concerning, I would suggest. What do you think about Miranda creating life?
Personally, I'd focus on creating things that help human beings. But her desire to spread life seems admirable to me. If most of the universe is dead, not doing anything with all that space seems like a waste.
That's actually a very fair point. I hadn't considered the advantages to terraforming other planets. That is actually a very good possible application for it. But you would want to be so sure that there isn't any life there already, wouldn't you? Because it would be horrible to terraform a planet and then find out that, oh, actually it had its own microbiome before, but we just missed it. And now all that life's been outcompeted. I should get back to work. Still, interesting little conversation. In case you're wondering what I'm... That was a weird noise. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I can't get down the bottom yet. So I'm either looking for another way down, which might be here, or alternatively I'll go for I'll settle for, you know, some other way to progress, if we can find a way to fix the broken elevator or something. Because as far as I can tell, the remaining puzzles we want to do are down there, and I don't know how to get down there. That's where we're currently at. Oh, there is a question mark that looks like it's not down the bottom. That's a very, very, very long way away. That might be the lab, which might then be how we get the elevator working. Certainly, we've never seen an area with three double triangle puzzles, or even one. It's always two. So it's not going to be one of those. It could be a lore dump. Hopefully it's something to help us progress, though. Oh, blimey. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this. Could this be the accident that I hypothesized might have happened and have taken out Miranda and Athena?
There are entirely too many strange things going on around here.
Yes. Levitating matter is a little concerning. Well, anyway, you only live once. It doesn't seem dangerous to us. Ooh. Spun us around, though. I think that was by collision, though. I don't think there's any sort of beam there or anything that's moving the matter around, because we aren't being picked up. I think we're being collided with, but I don't think we're being picked up by some force, like a magnetic force, for example. So I have to conclude that this matter has been altered in some way to cause it to do that. Oh, here we go. So yeah, I think this is the remnants of their lab, by the looks of it. And this is probably how we progress. Error 2629. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, because that Tyrus hath said against Jerusalem, Aha, she is broken, that was the gates of the people. She is turned unto me, I shall be replenished, now she is laid waste. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Tyrus, and will cause many nations to come up against thee, as the sea causeth his waves to come up. And they shall destroy the walls of Tyrus, and break down her towers. I'll also scrape her dust from her, and make her look like the top of a rock. It shall be a place for the spreading of nets in the midst of the sea, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God. And it shall become a spoil to the nations, and her daughters which are in the field shall be slain by the sword, and they shall know that I am the Lord. That sounds awfully vengeful. That also sounds like it... Oh, author John Martin. So is that not from the Bible then? Interesting. Faith. Perhaps faith is neither the choice nor submission. Perhaps faith is a demand, for a pain to have meaning, for the stories of the world to rhyme, for a world designed by a loving hand. Perhaps I will believe with defiance in the forgiveness of all sins, in the kingdom of God on earth, and even the resurrection of the dead. I will believe with clenched fists and gritted teeth, and prayers that refuse to be gentle. Right, we've got some more ASCII here to transliterate, but it's not much. 4F 206465 617468 2C 207768 7265206973207468 7920637469 6E 67 3F 204F 206772 6176 65 2C 207768657265206973207468 792076 6963 746F 72793F. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? Trial 5358. Hang on, 5358 was the numbers that kept cropping up over and over and over in the game. So you know what I was saying about how sometimes they have, like we see here, ASCII codes for characters, which are inexplicably in files for some reason, which you can then actually figure out what they say. We've seen the numbers 5358 keep coming up like that over and over and over again in this game for no apparent reason. And it doesn't even make sense in ASCII. Like, even though those, you know, are within range, it does make an ASCII... You can read it as ASCII and see what it says. It just says capital S, capital X. That means nothing. But here we go. Trial 005358. So it appears to be a specific trial number which was being referred to all those times in the game up till now. Catastrophic failure. She's gone. Author Athena. Author Athena. So Athena's alive. She must therefore, because as far as we know, that actually there could have been other females here, because we know that Lithrasir has been through here with his followers. But in all likelihood, she's talking about Miranda. Looks like there was some sort of catastrophic failure, and presumably Miranda is gone. What exactly gone means, we'll have to see. I mean, most likely she's passed on, but you don't know. It could, with the sort of stuff they were messing around with, you don't know for absolutely certain. She could have been, like, ejected into space or something. So is that why Cornelius left? Was it because of his daughter being gone? Gnome and network schematic. This is going to be another one of those visions we have.
It's over. We failed. Everything we thought we were doing. It's all ashes now.
I don't think you really believe that.
She's gone, Cornelius. She's gone because I failed her. She's gone because the machine that I built killed her.
That clarifies things.
Perfect. And now, she's nothing.
I know you don't want to hear this. I know you want her to be perfect, to be blameless. But you didn't kill her, Athena. She killed herself. She killed herself because she was reckless, because she was naive. And frankly, because she was a little arrogant, too.
She was reckless because I filled her head with dreams. Dreams of the future. Of a better world. A world that nobody wants.
No, it's not the dreams that killed her. It's that we brought her here. It's that we tried to build all this outside the city. We raised her without people, without society. The wilderness is for prophets, Athena, not for children. We should have stayed, fought for our ideas.
It's too late now. It's too late.
So that's what happened. We still don't know what happened to Athena. But that does raise a few interesting questions. No one's going to comment on that? Usually they see this... This is disconcerting. Usually they see the streams that I see. Like, because we're an android, when we see something, we're often streaming so that other people can see it. Like on an expedition like this, we would be. And so even though we had a vision there, they should have seen the vision. So everyone else should be aware of what happened and isn't commenting on it for some reason. What was I thinking? Yeah, they called her a child, but I mean, we're only a few days old ourselves. In fact, possibly only 1 day old now I think about it. So when they say child, that doesn't mean she isn't a fully functioning, well, frankly, adult being, as it were, as far as the androids are concerned. I know what they mean. She was a lot less oh, there's your cut. He's probably going to comment on what happened. I know what they mean, that she was their child and they raised her in the sense that they were the only people she'd ever interacted with, unless she'd interacted with Lifrasir and his followers, which is possible. But you know, they don't mean that she was what we would think of as a child. Anyway, that was one point I was going to make. The other point I was going to make is what was the other point I was going to make? Oh yeah, in this game there's a central structure called the megastructure, and then there's a region to the north, to the east, to the south, and to the west. And each of those regions is split up into 3 sub-regions, which is an area to complete. We started in the east, then we went to the north, and now we're in the south. As we've been and these places have been coming accessible to us in what feels like a deliberate order. That's one of the strange things about this place. There's all these puzzles that someone's built for us to complete, and it's not clear why these puzzles are here at all. And more than that, like, this whole area seems to open up to us in a deliberate order, and in some cases even bits of it cuts itself off from us, it seems like, in a deliberate order. I'm thinking about areas within the megastructure, and so far as we've been going through these areas, a story has been revealed to us in a chronological order. What I'm getting at here is there are only 3/4 of the way through those areas, so it seems like if that pattern continues, then there's much more of this story yet to be revealed in the western section. So in some sense she clearly didn't stop here. As I say, this has been revealed to us in chronological order. We visited them in the order east, north, south, and then presumably west, but that also appears to be, as far as we can tell, the order in which we're built. So the point I'm trying to get at here is there's a whole other region that presumably Athena and maybe Cornelius built after this, which is going to be interesting. Perhaps it was a training grounds? Training for what, though? I mean, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that it is still an open question. There's we don't have, as far as I can tell, we don't have enough information yet. Maybe it was, but the obvious question then becomes training for what and why? A second Miranda? Well, they wouldn't have had to... Interesting. I was going to say, due to the way that they generate a new person, they would wake up with when they're born, with a adult human level intelligence and ability to communicate and so on. A lot of stuff they would just have from the get-go. So she wouldn't... a new Miranda wouldn't be required to go through a bunch of tests, a bunch of puzzles to become a fully functioning person. But I think I take your point. Could it be because the original Miranda was so reckless that they were putting the puzzles together in some way to teach caution? I don't know, but it's not like the puzzles so far have been all that dangerous. But it's an interesting point that the puzzles could have been meant to teach particular lessons to another child. But we know Cornelius went back to New Jerusalem. We don't know that Cornelius went back just after that vision we just saw, though. It's possible that he went back much later. But my point is, did he stick around for them to have another child together, or didn't he? I don't know. Another thing that just occurred to me is there have been these 3 holograms we keep bumping into. Prometheus, who seems to be preaching for the advancement of humanity, because again, these androids consider themselves to be human, even if it seems reckless, because that's the only way to make progress. And Pandora seems to think that it's too risky and we shouldn't touch any of that. We shouldn't be meddling in things that aren't safe, and so we should forgo any idea of making progress in and exploiting the environment in preference to keeping people safe. She tends to take a almost overly protective, motherly tone towards us, Pandora. You know, like, it's not your fault that you're playing with matches, but I can't let you have the matches. And then there's the Sphinx, who seems to be taking more of a neutral tone, so far as I can tell. More of a, not quite condemning us for wanting to progress, but certainly, like, making us very, very aware that there are significant risks, and we should be very, very careful with how we progress, at least as I've interpreted the Sphinx so far. I wonder if those could be... this is me thinking on the spot. I wonder if those 3 could be parts of Athena. I wonder if Athena did something that split her own psyche up into 3, and that's what those holograms are. Because there was the Somnodrone, which was a device we came across earlier, which was apparently a way to... They were developing technology. These androids dream, and they have a subconscious. They were developing a device to be able to tap into the subconscious so they can actually, like, see what's going on and potentially put questions to the subconscious mind and so on. That was one of the technologies that they were developing here. Could Athena have built one of them that actually functioned and then somehow split herself into Pandora, Prometheus, and the Sphinx somehow? Again, thinking on the spot, could be wrong. Let's have a word with Yakut.
They lost their daughter. Right here in this ruin. Cornelius and Athena lost their daughter. Miranda's dead. So even the founder doesn't have perfect control over this technology. Even the founder makes mistakes. Byron was right in a way. We turned the founder into something she never was. She was never perfect. She was never infallible. No one is. Listen, I understand why you and Byron see so much hope in this technology. You want us to be better, to grow. But what if it all goes wrong? If even the founder couldn't get it right, what hope do we have?
See, now you've just raised the founder up again. You just said she's fallible, and then you said, but what if the founder can't get it right? The other thing is, although I actually agree she's not infallible, and they did turn her into something that she's not, strictly speaking, we don't actually know what actually factually happened here. We don't know whose fault it was, if anyone's. You know, was Miranda with Athena at the time when the accident happened? Could it have been something that Miranda really did do on her own? I'm not saying she's to be blamed for it necessarily, but the extent to which we could attribute this as the fault of Athena is yet to be seen. Nothing's forcing us to repeat the mistakes of the past. Mistakes will happen, but no matter what we do. The risks of the megastructure concern me, that's why we need to know more. You're right, the technology could destroy us, or the whole planet. Um. See, one of the things that when I first started playing this game, and before I knew anything about the megastructure or anything like that, when I had first arrived, woken up in New Jerusalem, a newly created individual, and I was learning about the problems that they had, and the fact that, for example, they're having severe energy shortages and power outs because they weren't generating enough power and they weren't maintaining their... Well, I don't know if their hydroelectric dam is malfunctioning or if they just need more. But, you know, they weren't meeting their needs and they weren't maintaining the technology like they should be, and they weren't expanding to new areas. One of the very first comments I made is, right, one natural disaster hitting New Jerusalem could wipe them all out. Then there is no sentient life on Earth. Like 1,000 individuals living in one city, although frankly that's arguably not much more than a village, that is not enough. And worse than that, at some point the sun is going to go red giant and render the Earth uninhabitable. You need to be getting off planet. Ultimately, you need to tech up to that point. So while I do take the point about avoiding mistakes and avoiding death as much as possible, yes, by all means advance cautiously, you are not safe to stop growing. You need to grow if you want to persist, otherwise you're far too vulnerable. What if just a large meteorite strikes Earth and takes out all higher forms of life, including yourself? You need to become an interstellar civilization. There is no alternative if you want to guarantee your survival going forwards. This game makes some pretty overt references to Christianity, and Athena stated earlier that maybe Miranda saw something they didn't regarding such things. From what I know about Christianity, they talk a lot about a second coming of Jesus. What if this place is, now that she's gone, meant to herald a second coming of Miranda? It would sort of fit with that worship record you found earlier. That's a very interesting point I hadn't thought of. I had always seen Athena as the messianic figure, because there was one of her and 12 companions, which sounds a lot like 12 apostles, and the way that they've I don't think you've come across it yet, but there's certain individuals within the New Jerusalem community that really do treat Athena with a sort of religious worship. Thecla being one of the notable examples. And there are certainly individuals that very much don't and do realise that she's just any other person. But some of them do. I hadn't considered the possibility that Miranda could have been also seen as some sort of messianic figure. It's an interesting point you raise. And yes, you are right. They do... there is quite a lot of Abrahamic religion interwoven in this game in an interesting way. A lot of that seems to have come from the fact that, you know, I said they set up that supercomputer to evolve more and more intelligent AIs. That supercomputer was running a simulation in which it was testing each generation of AIs to see how capable they were, and in it presented itself as a godlike figure, and a Abrahamic godlike figure specifically. It even called itself Elohim, which I believe is one of the very old Jewish names for God. El as well, being one of them. There's if you actually really dig into it, you can actually trace the Abrahamic religions back to the polytheistic period, and there's like one god called Yahweh and another god called El that ended up becoming combined at one point, and their mythologies intermixed, and they all ended up feeding into what would be monotheistic Judaism, which then obviously gets adopted by Christians much later. I'm talking about in the real world here. interesting stuff. And like I say, that supercomputer presented itself to the AIs in the simulation that's in the game, in this game's universe, as some sort of biblical god, and used a lot of religious language to try and control the AIs that lived there. This was all the topic of the first game, in which you were actually, although your character in the first game didn't have a name, it turns out it was Athena. Anyway, yeah, I was just going to add that. So, like, that's why there is so much Christian theology mixed into this game, and why it's so overt. But yes, it's a very interesting observation you make about the possibility of there being a second Miranda, and what that would mean. Mistakes will happen, but bad things happen no matter what we do.
But what if one mistake is enough? One mistake was enough to kill Miranda. And the energy readings from inside the megastructure are insane. What if we try to use it and blow a hole in the planet?
Right, and what do you do when the sun goes red giant? Like, the status quo is that everyone is going to die. It will be in millions of years, but they are all going to die. So the only way forward I see is extremely cautious progress. Like, by all means, take 1,000 years over it, take 100,000 years over it, that's fine, but you can't just avoid progress because you're afraid of the possibility of someone or many people getting killed, because then you are guaranteeing that everyone will be killed eventually. I'm going now. Have an excellent day. That's alright. Thank you for dropping by, and I hope you have a wonderful day as well. It's been a pleasure having you join me. That's catastrophist thinking. People only ever have these phobias about new things, but all our established technologies have their dangers. If we only ever consider the worst case scenario, we'd do nothing and then still die. The universe is inherently dangerous. A major natural disaster is always coming our way. You need to have a little faith in our species. That's what precautions are for. We can do things carefully. The planet will be fine in the long run. You're right, this technology could be too much for us. The universe is inherently dangerous, and major natural disaster is always coming our way. So the more power and control we have, the more prepared we are. So trying to protect planetary balance is impossible. So there is no safe course of action, only deliberate or unforeseen risks. Well, actually, I don't know where I was going with this. So there is no safe course of action, only deliberate or unforeseen risks. Or the more power and control we have, the more prepared we are. I think the truth is kind of between those two. So the more power and control we have, the more prepared we are.
Some people argue we should just accept natural disasters as part of life.
Then why worry about damaging the planet? Oh, that's just misanthropy. Or that's foolish. We should, but our disasters are no less natural. Then why worry about damaging the planet?
Good point. Yeah, there were plenty of extinction events before our ancestors showed up. On the cosmic scale, we barely affect the planet. But with enough control, we might actually be able to do some good. From our perspective, anyway. The planet doesn't care, neither does the universe. I guess Miranda was wrong about that. Anyway, thanks for talking to me. The truth is, lately, I sometimes feel kind of lost. The universe is vast and threatening. History is depressing, and I need something to hold on to. Something other than fear. I have to figure out what that is.
You're welcome. That was very interesting.
Thanks for your help, Wonkai. The elevator should be working now.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
Yakut, I'm sorry about Miranda. I know you're looking forward to meeting her.
So the elevator should be working now with any luck. And it would appear to be. Shame I didn't listen more carefully last time, when we were told to be wary of it. Oh, this looks more full of life than up top. Puzzle 5 is this way. Bridging the gap. Okay, so I just need to get 2 weights on here. I have a connector already. There's a red producer. There's a red receiver. I don't know what those actually do though. Oh, is it, the angle's been chosen here so I can't do this? Nope. Okay. I didn't mean to do that, but fantastic. Or is it fantastic? Quite a large puddle there, isn't there? Ahaha! Oh. That shouldn't have been possible. If it could connect it up before, it should be able to connect it up now. Oh well. Well, now we're down here. Why so much fog? And the water looks very clean for water that's essentially in a muddy... and sitting in a pile of dirt. Oh, I wonder if when the lift came along last time, it shifted the connector's position. And that's why it wouldn't go back. I think that is what's happening. I think it's bashing into it and knocking it to the side. My goal here is to grab the connector and get it onto the... Oh, blimey, the reflection of the red in the water is very eye-catching, isn't it? I want to grab it and get it onto the lift. Like so. Good. Really? This seems a little easy. I mean... I'm not complaining that it's easy, but... I wasn't expecting it to be so easy. Oh wait, why did that get cut off? Ah! Okay, I get it. That is quite clever. Wait, where did the other connector go? I had it in my hand a moment ago and now it's gone. Has it fallen off or something? Yes. That's probably game over, unfortunately. I don't know. Yeah, it is going to be, isn't it? I'm going to need to get it up top. Oh, that's a pity. I wish that hadn't happened. No, I just want to reset. How do I reset? There we go. That's really annoying. I could see what the solution to the puzzle was even. But I was really unlucky. Having that connector fall off. Right, that goes there. And then this one needs to be connected up the same way, but at the other extreme. Like so. Now it should be able to travel the whole way. There we go. Then that one comes over here. And then I have to grab that and put it there. Easy. I think the overall solution to that particular puzzle was quite easy. Easier than I expected. But as you can see, it's still possible to mess up the implementation. Ah, lore dump. Let's have some more lore. From selected archive documents D through F, the dodo, extinct because of Homo sapiens. Stella's sea cow, extinct because of Homo sapiens. The Labrador duck, extinct because of Homo sapiens. The Rocky Mountain locust, extinct because of Homo sapiens. The thylacine, extinct because of Homo sapiens. I don't think we know that, although we strongly suspect it. I could be wrong. That was the Tasmanian tiger, I think they called it. It was a predatory marsupial that lived in Australia and was somewhat dog-like. But it also had stripes that made it look a bit tigerish. The deep-water cisco, extinct because of Homo sapiens. The golden toad, extinct because of Homo sapiens. To be clear, most of these I haven't heard of. Some of them I have, like the dodo and the thylacine. The golden toad, oh, I've read that. The northern white rhinoceros, extinct because of Homo sapiens. The splendid poison frog, extinct because of Homo sapiens. The Amur leopard, extinct because of Homo sapiens. Literally every last orangutan, extinct because of Homo sapiens. I think that is part of this story, but that obviously hasn't happened in the real world yet. We still have orangutans. Homo sapiens, what do you think will happen to them? It's time for this madness to end. Cornelius, a shameful list, and yet we are the only species that would ever make such a list and feel bad about it. Randa, because extinction is normal in nature, a common side effect of evolution? Cornelius, exactly. What I want you to think about is this. Is natural extinction less tragic? Should we be less opposed to it? Where is the difference, if there is one at all?
Man, this sucks. It's one thing hearing about the symptoms. It is another totally to experience them.
He's
like
one of the last humans.
Insect trapped in resin, slowly congealing. I can keep working for a while though. There's still a bunch of critical tasks. I don't know what I'll do when I'm done. A lot of people have gone home, but Alexandra's still here. I don't think she's left even once, not even when her best friend died. We chatted a bit yesterday. She likes peanut ice cream. Not pistachio. Peanut. Well,
That sounds delicious.
That strawberry is an abomination.
What's wrong with strawberry ice cream? I think peanuts, pistachio, and strawberry ice cream all sound wonderful. Displacement. We have an inverter. This is a red-blue inverter. I've never actually seen an inverter that does any other colours, but there are 3 colours of beam in this game. There's red, blue and green, unless there's other ones I haven't encountered yet. But the inverters always seem to turn blue into red and red into blue. So there's a blue. So the goal is to get a blue beam to this blue receiver. Well, I can. Wow, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. I saw that there was a fence here, not a force field, which is why I was thinking, oh, that's odd. I wonder why they've chosen to have like a fence here? Like, is it going to drop like a portcullis when I put something on the pressure plate? But no, the whole thing came forwards. What is behind here? Well, there is an area behind here. And it's got an accumulator that I doubtless need. Okay. I don't know what this is going to do. Ah, it keeps it in position. Okay. So if I take that now, we get pulled back, which is what we wanted. And I can now power that, which we also wanted. I can grab the accumulator. And I can get some blue onto the accumulator. Which again is wonderful. I can send the blue there. I'm going to have to bootstrap this using the weight of my body, but that's fine. That'll stay in position. I can get the inverter out, although I probably don't need it anymore. And I managed to get out with the accumulator. I wasn't sure I wasn't going to get crushed there. I was wondering, or just get moved back so quickly that I couldn't get out. I was thinking possibly I'd have to nudge this closer to the edge or something and then grab it from the other side, but nope, that wasn't necessary. Another surprisingly easy puzzle. Again, I'm not complaining. I don't mind when the puzzles
Having a
are...
friend like Byron is a rare blessing. Someone who listens to you, who disagrees, but still appreciates your thoughts. The more we explore this island, the more convinced I become that he was wrong. And the megastructure is a threat to all of us. But without people like him, I'm not sure New Jerusalem is worth saving.
Above. Yeah, I don't mind when the puzzles are a bit easy, it's just it seems odd. Usually the end puzzles in any given area, and I would say that by 6 we're getting towards the end. Usually they're really quite difficult. Okay. Nothing hidden back there. I guess the only thing to do is follow that fan up. Okay, we have another fan. We have an inverter. Okay. A driller. Huh. I was not expecting a driller. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't a driller. There's something else moving over there. That's a red producer, and it's exactly in line with that. Let's go through here. And see what's on the other side. Before we go any further. I could drop down to... Ah, that's where we want to get to? Okay. We want to get a blue signal there. Obviously an inverter is going to be used. Presumably we send a signal through there. Alright. There are still some details I'm a bit fuzzy on, but we'll worry about that in due course. Put that there. Right, is this sufficient to connect everything up? It's clear to me that the inverter's going to have to be on this platform for it to work. Or at least it seems that way to me. I'm not sure this has worked, but I want to go up the top and inspect the situation anyway. Okay. Again, that just seemed so easy. I've had some...
Wow, that one was a mind bender.
It really wasn't. This is genuinely confused, or if not confusing, genuinely peculiar. Like, I've had some real head scratcher puzzles playing this game, ones that have really had me stuck and that I've struggled to solve. But these ones have been pretty easy and we're pretty far into the game. Again, I'm not complaining, this really is just an observation. Like, if I have an easy time progressing, then fair enough, but it's the exact opposite of what I'd expect. Preliminary. Am I about... Okay, do you think preliminary is going to be an absolute nightmare of a puzzle? And I'm about to eat my words. Ah, it's another... Oops. Another rotational puzzle. Oh, I'm just... What? I'm missing something. Why could I not just rotate this till I get to the end? I assume that isn't possible. Right, these have stayed up. These force fields. So that's a difference to when we last encountered these. Right, okay, I get it. So you have red receivers on the outside and a blue one on the inside. Yeah, I don't know if there's a receiver on the other end here. I don't think there is. But it's getting signals there, which is what counts. Okay. Like, that's how we... I'm sorry, I'm rambling a bit. Unlike when we've come across these rotating platforms before, our ability to get the signals, the red or blue signals, to the relevant receivers on the platform is what determines our ability to enter and leave. Okay, so I can get in here alright. It's not clear whether I'd ever need to, though. We have another connector here. Right, I have two choices. I can get a signal through here, or I can get a signal through here. Blue coming from here would kind of make the most sense. What I mean is that these two force fields are at right angles, and then there's two. We're blocked in the other two directions. So no. So if I can walk through here, necessarily, I'm either got an opening on this side on which to get beams through, or an opening on this side. I don't think I can send a beam through this. Maybe I should test that. That does actually seem like an important point. I think this would be too easy if I could, though. Oh, I can. Okay, that's an important point then. That's probably a big part of the solution to this. Alright. Let's consider the merits of the two rotations which might work. There's this rotation. That honestly seems ideal. So I've got two connectors back there. I haven't tested it, but I feel like I should be able to pass the blue through there. Yeah, that shouldn't be hard. I feel like there's multiple solutions to this particular puzzle. But this seems like a very obvious and easy solution. Again! I mean, fantastic. I'm glad I'm making progress, but I swear we had much harder puzzles in the east, the first area we went to. Oh well. Never look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say. I'm looking for question marks, if you're wondering. There we go. I thought there was one question mark left, and it's there. Another lore dump. And then we can enter the... oh, it's the Lithosphere one. And then we can enter the big structure here. Not the mega structure, but whatever the like big central structure here is called. And then we can enter the mega structure.
There is a kind of peace here in the desert. A perfect silence. This is a dead place. More dead than almost anywhere else on Earth. If the ground could have a personality, it would be malevolent. But as I said before, all this in some sense does not exist at all. It does not hate us. It is simply the opposite of everything that life requires. When you sit in the dunes and you hear only the wind and nothing else at all, and all the complexities of civilization fade away, you truly understand that spiritual peace is a great evil, a kind of shallow banality that we must always strive against. It is spiritual excitement and enthusiasm which sustain our humanity. Spiritual peace is a vile and cowardly surrender to oblivion.
Interesting. Oh, I remember what I was going to say, sorry. It's very interesting what you said about this being a desert and that it being so dead, because it's full of life now. That suggests that Literacy was here before it was terraformed. But that raises questions, because presumably he wasn't here before Athena was here, for two reasons. The first reason being, why would Athena have deliberately have chosen to follow in Literacy's footsteps and go to the places, try and terraform all the places where he'd been specifically? And secondly, how were those recordings left there? Are we to believe that he set up those computers before Athena got here and left those recordings, and then Athena repurposed many of the computers? Somehow I doubt it. That was close. I could be wrong, but I think by the process of elimination I've determined that the S-shaped piece, for want of a better word, must be the first one. I haven't figured out the rest of this though. I could be mistaken. Hey. Hey! Did it. Took me a few attempts, but I did it. Who are we gonna meet this time? Prometheus? Pandora? The Sphinx? The Sphinx?
Prometheus was bound for many years, his torment seemingly eternal, until one day, Zeus commanded his son, the great hero Heracles, to free the Titan from the rock. Why did Zeus relent?
I didn't know that. I'd heard about the first part. Zeus knew that his son needed Prometheus' help because he recognized that he had been wrong, because no one's punishment should be eternal. Zeus knew that his son needed Prometheus' help. Honestly, knowing Zeus, that's the most likely reason.
Is helping those you love more important than justice?
To Zeus? Justice as fake people are real? No, yes. No.
And yet you will, and so will we. Between what is right and what is necessary, there lies a vast abyss. A time of dreams is at hand, creature of clay. To save your friend, you must do as Heracles did. But what will follow, none can see.
You mean I need to free Prometheus to save Byron? Actually, I seem to remember someone saying that before. I've forgotten who and when. Activate the tower at the circular races.
The megastructure is opening again.
All right, everyone. Assemble at the VTOL as soon as possible. Melville, keep an eye on the energy readings, please.
It's jolly nice that Alcatraz is determined enough to save Byron that he's quite happy to, it would appear, free Prometheus, even with all his misgivings about the megastructure and what the this technology may mean in the long term. I guess he's a bit like Zeus in that way. He doesn't want humanity to have the flame, but he's also willing to put his loved ones ahead of justice. Then again, that assumes that it was just that Prometheus was bound.
I don't share Byron's enthusiasm for the megastructure. I don't know if the Founder really intended for us to be here, and I certainly don't trust this Prometheus entity. But Byron is one of us, and we don't leave people behind. So we're finding Prometheus and freeing him, whether Pandora likes it or not. Here's how this mission is going to go. 1K, it's clear to me that you have some kind of special affinity for this place, and that the entities respond to you more strongly than they do to us. So, once you're inside, I want you to take point. Do whatever you need to free Prometheus, but remember that our prime objective is to save our friend. Melville, I want you to stay at the VTOL and let Yakut and 1K go in. I'm going to stay behind as protocol requires. I don't love the idea of sitting this one out. Byron is my oldest friend, but we're doing this by the book.
Quite right, too. Although you could always order Yakut to stay at the VTOL instead.
Alright, I'm taking us in. Let's hope we can find the big guy.
That takeoff was impressively quick. How does this thing fly, actually? How did it do that? It took off a bit like a helicopter in the fact that it didn't have to have any sort of run-up to be able to get in the air. But there wasn't like any time for blades to start spinning, as far as I could see. It just suddenly took off to the upwards and to the left, which I think would be west in this case. I might be wrong about that actually, that second part. Well, we're back in. Home sweet home. Oh yeah, it is some sort of helicopter, I think. Well, let's go. I don't know, I guess I should probably be diligent and check the perimeter before I do. Is that? No, that can't be where we've entered from before. Those are just windows. What were they building here? This must be what Athena was referring to as the machine. Okay, another central area that's well decorated. Made to look dilapidated, but probably this is just an aesthetic choice. Okay. Terminal there that we'll want to take a look at. Another area. I'm not allowed through there. There's an invisible force field. Oh, no. I take it back. There's very visible glass there. Well, easily done. Anything else in here worthy of note before I connect to that terminal and lose all my situational awareness? Not that I see. From Eustathius. From Eustathius to Athena. Dearest Athena, I don't know if you'll see this, you have become even more distant from the affairs of New Jerusalem than I have. Something or other misspeaking to you, and Cornelius and I fear that some of your estrangement is my own fault. I know things are not... Why would Cornelius think it was his fault? I know things are not as you had wished them... I know things are not as you had wished them to be, and the seat is drifting away from that bold vision you established. This is not because of your leadership or lack thereof. You did not fail. I did. I know I've said it before, but the new Alexandria disaster was my fault. I'm the one who took the initiative, and I'm the one who made the mistake. Yes, there should have been procedures in place, but it was my role to create such procedures, Athena, not yours. I wish I'd listened to Byron when he said we had to establish another settlement immediately. Learn from the pain, don't let it fester. Learn from the pain, don't let it fester. He was right. That's where the rot set in. And I'm sorry. With love, Eustathius. Right. Yes, so the point Byron was making there is that after the new Alexandria disaster, they shouldn't have waited before trying again. Is the thought. But I suppose you could say the only reason to do that would be to prevent possible opposition to another settlement building. But then could you say that rushing forward like that is not just reckless but a bit manipulative? Tritogeneia. I'm pretty sure I looked that up last time, and I'm pretty sure I've forgotten what it meant already. It looks like it should mean 3 of a species or something. Oh no, it means Triton-born, doesn't it? Which is an epithet of Athena. I remember us looking that up. Athena, author. From the author's note to Athena Reborn, a novel, The Machines. If my work has meant something to you, if Athena had any kind of impact on you, if some story in Wonder Tales from the periphery moved you or made you think, there is something about myself that I need to share with you. It's the only autobiographical fact I have any interest in sharing, the only thing about me that matters to you outside my work. Every breath that I take, and so every story that I write, is only possible because of technology. There are no natural remedies, no spiritual alternatives to what I was born with. My existence is wholly contingent upon a level of technological sophistication which was heretofore unimaginable, and which will in many ways define the coming era. When you long for a return to simpler times, you wish for a world in which I could not exist. If you are looking for answers, consider the fact that I was granted the blessing of this technology despite being born into poverty and my writing never having been particularly lucrative. The civilizational structures I live within were arranged in such a way that this technology would be deployed to save my life. And are these structures not also at the end of the day a kind of machine? What is the state? What is civilization if not a machine? Think about what this means. What this is. Is it systemic compassion? Is it liberation from nature? Is it equality of opportunity? Whatever your belief system, think hard about what it means that I am alive because of these machines, and I have created something that matters to you. Thank you for reading. That was really good. I assume this isn't written by... I assume this was written for the game and isn't an actual extract from something in real life, or they would probably have attributed the real author. But goodness me, that's quite a thought-provoking little piece. Clockwork from Orthodoxy by J.K. Chesterton. All the towering materialism which dominates the modern mind rests ultimately upon one assumption, a false assumption. It is supposed that if a thing goes on repeating itself, it is probably dead. A piece of clockwork. Interesting. It is supposed that if a thing goes on repeating itself, it is probably dead. A piece of clockwork. Oh, are you considering the inanimate dead? People feel that if the universe was personal, it would vary. If the sun were alive, it would dance. This is a fallacy even in relation to known fact, for the variation in human affairs is generally brought into them, not by life, but by death, by the dying down or breaking off of their strength or desire. A man varies his movements because of some slight element of failure or fatigue. But perhaps God is strong enough to exalt in monotony. It is possible that God says every morning, "Do it again," to the sun, and every evening, "Do it again," to the moon. It may not be automatic necessity that makes all daisies alike. It may be that God makes every daisy separately, but has never got tired of making them. It may be that he has the eternal appetite of infancy, for we have sinned and grown old, and our Father is younger than we. Father spelt with a capital F there, meaning God the Father. Interesting little piece. Again. Miranda, it's strange. The idea is delightful, but it's also completely and obviously untrue. Cornelius, that's one of the many reasons Chesterton is worth reading. He's wrong about a lot of things, but he's wrong about them in an interesting way. Miranda, it's such a shame, though. He seems to want to restore the magic of the world, but he can only re-enchant the surface. Whereas the true magic, the perfect beauty that feels like revelation, is found underneath in what he dismisses as clockwork. Founding 10. From Hypatia's Journals, Volume 1, The Founding of New Jerusalem, Day 680. New Jerusalem, that's the name that we picked. Am I sad that my suggestion didn't win? Maybe a little, but it is a good name, a fitting name, a name that we can be proud of. With it comes a new kind of optimism. Everyone is thinking of the future once more. I, for one, am glad that we have recovered our equilibrium and our determination. Athena and Cornelius are certainly bustling with plans and bright visions of the future, and when they tell us of these dreams of theirs, it's hard not to be drawn into the pretty pictures they paint. Speaking of which, I'm becoming more and more fascinated with ancient human art and thinking about our own role in taking the next steps in the long history. Something or other. Citizens of Gehenna found meaning in art, and they were imprisoned. A free people should be able to accomplish so much more. Right, and there's a bit of ASCII here to transliterate. He's everywhere and nowhere, is what it says. So it was just a lore dump. It doesn't seem to have led to any progression. That does raise a question. If I hadn't read this now, would I never have had the chance to get that? Would my my whatever this is, my journal, have never been complete? Floating cubes, looking a bit Borg-like, although a yellow colour scheme instead of green.
Yay! found another elevator. My favorite. Once again, I have no idea where I am. No sign of Prometheus so far. Hope you're doing better, 1K.
Not exactly. In fact, rather similarly. What have I found here? And why no puzzles yet? I mean, I'm not complaining. Oh, I can get into this. Okay, it's another transportation device. I'm not sure why they needed to.
I know I've said this before, but look at the size of this. How can all of this be one machine?
Easily by building.
One machine builds a bigger machine, which builds an even bigger machine.
That's our whole history, isn't it? The whole history of humankind. And it's not just machines. It's science, it's literature. Knowledge builds on knowledge.
I opened the other way. I suppose because one of the transportation devices was taking us vertically and the other horizontally. Here we go again. Oh, that's unpleasant. Don't like looking at that. It's flickering altogether too much. Oh, blimey. Looks like a stone statue. This would be from where the... This would be...
Be careful, 1K. We don't know what's down there.
This is the image that corresponds to the title screen, isn't it? Quite well muscled, isn't it? Quite well built. I do wonder if that statue is going to start moving. I'm assuming I have to complete puzzles to undo the chains. If that is what we're actually doing. I mean, there are physical chains here. This challenges my idea that Athena broke herself into 3. Because why would they have actually bothered to build giant structures like this and big chains like you might expect a navy to use? Remove Prometheus chain pins. Okay. I'll do my best. It does seem like I am actually going to be expected to... to complete some puzzles then to remove the pins. Why is there a giant statue of Prometheus here, and what does undoing the chains actually achieve? Unless he really is a physical being. Could he be a massive android? An absolutely gargantuan android? Potentially with an absolutely gargantuan supercomputer of a mind. I mean, if they could just fabricate more matter using machines, they could just come up with a simple design that could be repeated to scale it, and then, as I say, create an absolutely massive thinking being. A bit like Talos. The bronze Greek automaton. Or should that be the Greek bronze automaton? I think the latter. Very intricately interwoven, isn't this? The level design, I mean. Here we go. Is he gonna respond? A pin that an android of our size could actually remove. Why? Right, he's not been damaged by the pin becoming loose, it would appear. Blimey. He is clearly extremely solid. Like, when you think about how many tons a chain like that would weigh, and you think the speed at which it was falling, that would deliver some extreme force when it collided with his arm. And yet, as far as we can see, at least from this distance, not a scratch. Why is the water moving? You can hear it sloshing around, but there's nothing to give it... There's nothing to generate waves in a pool of this size. This is basically just a large puddle. There's no wind here, or there shouldn't be. I mean, there could be wind in the structure overall because it's so large, especially with uneven heat distribution. But we're in an enclosed space, reasonably enclosed. I wouldn't have expected there to be enough wind here to cause this to ripple. Could these be vibrations that are causing that? Unclear. Oh, an anti-gravity surface. Why is one of these shaded differently? Because it's an anti-gravity component. Where do I go from here? Down there? Okay, good. Progress is being made. Oh, I think so. If they're going to add anti-gravity components, I think this could get very confusing very quickly. Another pin. 2 of 5. What are those red sparks about? Oh dear. Whoops, I made a poor decision there. It might not have been as bad if I'd committed. Yeah. The problem was I suddenly realised how big the jump was, and it was much farther than I thought it was. And then I sort of had a oh no moment and tried to back off, but of course I was already mid-air, so that was the worst thing I could possibly have done. Excellent, excellent. I don't think this is gonna work, no. I think it would have worked if I'd done that. Nope. Interesting. Why this central pillar? Oh, you could. Hey there. Hey there, friend.
I don't think you can get up here, 1K. Guess I'll have to do a puzzle after all. It can't be that hard, right? It's not like everyone is depending on me.
I'm not sure if you will have to do a puzzle or not. It just seems to be pulling out pins, unless you mean the Tetromino bridges.
But if this has to connect over here, then... Wait. If I do this, and then that... What?
Or you could.
I did it! Wow! I feel really smart. Also, never doing that again.
Oh, he pulled one of the pins. I wish I was ready to see, in position to see that, actually. Well done, you cute. Oh no! Oh, this is bad. We're good. But I missed the chain falling. But I now see there's a way down here, which I think I may have missed before. Which is probably the way forwards. So, somewhat serendipitous that I nearly fell off when I did. What is this? Why is it so? Why is there a green? A gold haze around it? This is all anti-gravity. I suppose it'd have to be, because the only thing keeping us up right now is anti-gravity. Yes! Because I'm pretty sure that's down. And that's up. Yes. Where's Prometheus? Yes. There's Prometheus. Confirmed. So that's not so bad. It doesn't involve me having to do three-dimensional tetrominos. Okay, I can take that elevator up. Excellent. Job done. Just one more to go. I wonder if they assumed players would do that one last, since it's like, to get to it we have to go in the central direction, and it is the central one pinning him in place. Assuming this does anything at all. I wonder how it feels like to be experiencing anti-gravity like this. Can I jump? I can. So I probably do feel it uniformly across my whole body then. If I don't have to be in contact the whole time. Then again, it's not like we have hair or anything. That's what I was kind of wondering. Would your hair be like falling such that it feels like it's sticking up, if that makes sense, because you're upside down? I guess not. Although it does raise the question, how exactly is it that we disengage the anti-grav when we do? Right, one more chain, and then I assume Pandora's going to make a very angry appearance, and we're going to have to try and escape from here quickly, possibly with Prometheus's help. Excellent. I assume every time we hear that noise, the game saves. I thought so. Anti-grav, because I could see there was anti-grav up there. I think, logically, it must be the last part, though. Because otherwise... Oh, I suppose it needn't be. Now I've had a closer look. No, I think it probably is. To allow us to smoothly transition from one anti-gravity surface to another. Right, then that must be the penultimate piece, due to where the... due to where the connections are, the start and end point. And I suspect it doesn't matter which order you do the other two. I get the feeling that these Tetromino puzzles often have quite a few solutions. There's going to be quite a lot of cases where it doesn't matter if you do it one way or the other. Alright, you've caught my interest. Is that the way up? Then what's the other side for? If I jump down there, would I be able to get back? Oh, it just takes me back round here. Okay, so the other side was a dead end. Fair enough. Ah, here. I got a bit confused in my perspective there. Because it wasn't an anti-gravity surface, it was just a normal surface. I wasn't entirely sure if it was a wall or the floor, and I'd lost track of which way was down. Goodness me. Can I get in this water? I can. It does feel like... I mean, this area itself does look kind of special. I have no idea why they would have built this to have water up here. And there's no obvious reason for it to be here. And it does seem to be deliberate, because, like, it's not like it's water that's fallen from above, because this area hasn't ended up flooded at all. Like, not even damp. But it does feel like this is supposed to be very, well, aesthetically pleasing. Almost cinematic. So I feel like this was supposed to be the last pin we get to. Although, technically, I see no reason why we couldn't have done it first. Prometheus is unbound. Hasn't moved yet though. Release Prometheus. So there's still one more job left. So I guess it doesn't matter which order we do these in. By the looks of things. I've lost the way back, but I can just jump. This is probably where I was supposed to use the anti-grav, but this is quicker. I probably just missed the anti-grav wall. Is this the first pin, the one that I wanted to remove but wasn't given a prompt for? Perhaps they aren't unbound yet. No, they're not. They are still bound from the front. So that's how the game developers make sure that the player's in the right position when Prometheus is freed. Not moving yet. So Prometheus got free once before, and then Pandora bound Prometheus a second time. How did they get free the first time? We know Cornelius didn't do it. It could have only been Athena. Since presumably Prometheus can't do it themselves. And why bind them in such a silly way? Where someone could get in and release them. Unless this was the intention all along, but... you know, if this is completely fake. And we were always supposed to do this. Yeah, I wondered if they'd turn into that energy being, not being, that special form of matter.
I thank you, Son of Man, for breaking my chains. Too long has the flame been hidden by fear and mystery. It is time to put away these childish things and for you to know the truth of the Alpha and the Omega, of the beginning and the end. I will send you visions of the truth. But remember that prophecies are a heavy burden.
Prometheus unbound. Free Prometheus from his chains.
New Jerusalem sounds like such a beautiful place. So, how did you decide to leave? I know what we're trying to accomplish here, and I believe in it. But for you, New Jerusalem was home. What changed that?
It took me a long time to realize that something was wrong. Oh, I'd noticed that something was off, that something had changed
Why so many
since the early
duplicates?
days, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. So I ignored it. And then one day I woke up to realize I was no longer Athena. Instead, I had been transformed into the Founder. A remote figure of legend, mythologized in my own time.
But if it bothered you, couldn't you just talk to them? If you share the truth with someone, they should change their mind, shouldn't they?
Oh, I wished it worked that way, Miranda. I really do, but I barely knew the last generations. In the beginning, I was there for every
Said latest in the
I
subtitles.
explained our history, talked about our future, but at some point, I got so busy building that future that I lost touch. They thought of me as a remote figure because that's what I was.
But can you change that?
I tried, but they already saw me as the founder. The myth was too powerful, and it was already taking on a life of its own. I'd set a goal of 1,000 citizens. The number was arbitrary. Just a nice round number, nothing more. But just like I became the founder, it became the goal. Another part of the myth. And maybe that could have been all right. Myths are a part of who we are, but something else crept in.
That it was a limit?
The old human self-hatred.
So why didn't you just tell them to change? To go a different way? They would have listened to you.
No, they would have obeyed me, like my siblings in the simulation had obeyed. And that's when I realized I had to leave.
We can show them the
I
future,
don't remember
Miranda,
that.
but we can't force them to accept it.
I wondered if to help Prometheus move he'd turn into that exotic form of matter. Oh.
After all this time, I have it. I finally have it. The mechanics of the cosmos. From quarks to galactic filaments. Everything that makes the world what it is makes us...
Oops.
It's who we are. In a single equation. The key to understanding the machine that is the universe. And to controlling it. A theory of everything. And she was right. The language of creation is a melody, and it's beautiful.
This is after Miranda
is
then.
possible now. Every future, except one with Miranda in it.
Thought you were going to
I
say
can
that.
do anything, except bring her back, or unbreak Cornelius's heart.
Gates of Horn and Ivory. That's an interesting name. I wonder where that comes from.
Byron was right. The founder was always a fiction. She's just a person.
Yeah, we're looking for Byron.
Theory of everything. She solved it. She solved the last puzzle.
You need to get out
Where
of
did the
there. We'll talk
platform
about
go?
this later.
Yeah, I wondered if he was going to turn into that exotic form of matter in order to move, since he appeared to be a statue. But what I don't understand is why, when he did so, did like the outer layer fall off like a crust? Like as if he was shedding his outer layer of skin or something. That was a bit weird and unexplained. And where did he go after he sent us those visions?
All this time, we thought we were honoring Athena, but all we did was betray everything she believed in. She must have been so lonely. We might as well have exiled her. Maybe that's what all this is about. The puzzles, the towers, the entities. It's a test. A way for us to prove that we're worthy of her legacy.
I doubt it. Like, what would the puzzles achieve, for example?
Finally, it all makes sense. Anti-gravity, matter synthesis, teleportation.
Wait, did you get the
It's
equation?
not just one new technology. It's control over physics. Manipulating the base layer of reality itself. Rearranging the building blocks of the universe. If we can gain control of the megastructure, we can do anything we want. I'm not even talking about our energy problem. We can build anything we want. We can go anywhere we want. It's all up to us.
That's what Athena wanted for us. To give us a chance to be who we want to be.
So why has the structure apparently been abandoned and taken over by supernatural beings and left to dilapidate? That doesn't make much sense. Also, I wonder if Prometheus, the Sphinx, and Pandora were beings that Athena created out of this exotic form of matter, as though she created this exotic, or she figured out how to change matter into this exotic form and do things like teleportation and matter reorganization and so on, and even the creation of life, and then said to herself, right, what sort of android could I make out of that exotic form of matter, just using that form of matter? I wonder if Pandora, Prometheus, and the Sphinx are all exotic matter androids, which are apparently huge for some reason. That would imply that they contain organs that allow them to manipulate matter in the same manner as a teleporter and whatever they use for building and so on. And that would also imply that when Prometheus was bound, presumably those organs weren't turned to stone, because then you'd assume they'd cease to function. So it was probably just his exterior he turned to stone. Maybe that's like his sleeping state, because he knew he was going to be there for a long time. Maybe he expends energy constantly, like we do, just living, and that was a way for him to hibernate. But then he must have still had some situational awareness to be able to know when he'd been unbound and wake himself back up, and that also doesn't explain why the outer layer fell off. I don't know, I'm speculating. It's also not impossible that Athena did split herself into 3, and each of those got uploaded to those 3 androids, exotic matter androids, if that is what they are.
Is everyone okay?
All good. I'm taking us back now.
That's a relief. Meanwhile, there's been a development. You'll see when you land. How are things on your end?
The energy fluctuations seem to be dying down. Looks like the system is coming out of lockdown.
Good. Let's hope we don't regret this.
We never found Byron, though.
And these energy clouds just fly about? That seems terribly dangerous.
We haven't had any problems so far.
Except for losing one of the first companions, of course. No, I don't blame you, Al. I know what he's like. And I'm the one who agreed to all this in the first place. That's why I had to see it for myself. It is dreadfully imposing, though, isn't it? Hard to believe the founder would build something so sinister.
The mayor's here?
Well, this should be interesting.
Oh, he must be there. That's the development that Alcatraz was talking about. How did he know before Melville? Because Melville was back here and Alcatraz wasn't. Where is the mayor? Ah, over here.
Ah, 1K.
Brought some
Welcome
bodyguards,
back.
is it?
I'm sure you're surprised by my presence here. Don't worry, neither I nor my advisors will be getting in your way. But I've decided that I need to see this place for myself. These
Very
visions
fancy
sent
body
to you
he
by
has,
the
isn't
entity
it?
that calls itself Prometheus are deeply concerning, of course. But we cannot take them at face value. In fact, it's crucial that we do not do so. We cannot simply abandon all that we believe because of a dream, no matter how vivid.
I sort of agree and I sort of disagree. I agree with you that we can't take them at face value. At best, they're a form of communication, and we have no idea how honest they are as a form of communication. But on the other hand, we have to accept the fact that they are consistent with everything we've seen up to this point. Again, that doesn't mean we take them at face value, but it's our best working theory for what happened here. What that actually means probably depends upon what decisions need to be made. We probably shouldn't make any decisions that assume beyond a reasonable doubt those visions are the truth. But we probably should make decisions that are based upon in the balance of probability that's the truth. At least until we find any credible reason to doubt them. I mean, do we have any reason up to this point to believe that Prometheus has dealt with us dishonestly? Has he done anything that has been shown not to be consistent with reality as we can independently verify it? Still, all of these dialogue options end with a hyphen, so I assume we don't actually get to say much. Actually...
No. If the founder really built all this, then it must have a purpose. It must be a test, designed to remind us of the trials that created us. But what is she trying to tell us? What are we being tested for? I believe that Byron's fate shows us the dangers of temptation. As Elohim attempted to deceive Athena in the simulation, commanding her not to ascend, so Prometheus is deceiving us with his visions.
I'm reserving judgment for now.
That's only reasonable, but I would ask you to think about what I said. After all, can it really be a coincidence that you came along on this mission? It seems to me that you have been chosen. You are the fulfillment of the goal. Don't forget that.
I actually think you may have a point there. That's something that I seem to remember I mentioned in a much earlier stream. The fact that a lot of this seems to have been made with the assumption that it is I, 1K, that would be interacting with it. Which is especially since, as Alcatraz put it earlier, the megastructure and the entities around it seem to respond to me more than the others. And I seem to remember there was more evidence that it was that this was all connected to me earlier on, but I've forgotten what it was. But yeah, there was some sort of reference specifically to me. Oh, it was the bodies, wasn't it? The duplicate bodies all had my 1000 on the chest. How could they have known? Unless those bodies were fabricated in that moment, which we now know could be possible, but we never saw them being fabricated. So yeah, like, all of it does actually point to the idea that maybe it wasn't built with me in mind, but at some point it was repurposed with me in mind. Which is weird. Why? This would have been made before and repurposed before I was born, as it were, before I was completed. So why? They literally know nothing about me. Unless Athena managed to influence the birthing algorithm and make sure that I had a particular personality or something. Perhaps Miranda's. So although I don't want to treat the goal as being too sacred, or I don't want to elevate it, I'm not sure to what extent the goal is part of this per se. I would agree there is a very peculiar connection to myself and what's going on here, and I don't know why. On the face of it, that shouldn't be the case. And yet it seems to be, so far as I can tell.
How's the system looking, Melville? Any obvious changes?
It's still a mess, but things are clearing up. I can access some of the subroutines that I was locked out of before. Nothing is obviously malfunctioning, I think.
Strange.
Does it still accord special significance to 1K?
Yes, it recognizes 1K as a user. I'm just hacking things.
As I suspected, the Founder sees you, 1K.
Yeah, but well, not necessarily the Founder. It could be another entity. But why? Why? Oh, this is interesting. There's a swampy biome. I've seen quite enough of poison swamps going through the Souls-like games. It's very beautiful, if somewhat autumnal. Were each of the areas supposed to represent a season, I wonder? The first area being spring, that being the east. North being winter. South being summer. And west now being autumn, perhaps, judging by the leafless trees. It's very nice, though. Very, very beautiful in a bleak way. Yeah, I think we'd better call it there for tonight. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Is there anyone I should be raiding? Not that we currently have one viewer, but anyone I should be raiding? Yeah, we'll raid Art Dad. He's still doing his mega stream where he tries to play through the 7 Souls-like games. Well, there's more than that now, but specifically Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3, Elden Ring, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and which one am I missing? I'm missing one, aren't I? The 3 Dark Souls games, Elden Ring, that's 4. Sekiro, Bloodborne brings us to 6. I'm missing one. Sorry, this is bothering me. This is one of the things that will bother me if I don't figure it out. Oh, Demon Souls, of course. I missed Demon Souls off. That was the game before Dark Souls, yeah. So he's been playing through those 7 games. It's not like a one-hit run or anything, but notionally he's completing one game, then going straight onto the next one and so on. He wanted to do it all in one stream, and I know he stayed up for about... I left him at 25 hours that he had been streaming. I wasn't there the whole time. I was just dipping in and out. And he'd managed to finish 4 games up to that point, I think. He'd done Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1... Demon Souls, and he was at the 25-hour mark. He was at the final battle in Sekiro, and I didn't see him complete that. But then he ended up ultimately taking a break, and I don't blame him. 25 hours is a ridiculously long time to be streaming. It says he's on game 6 of 7 now, so what does he say? DS3 and Elden Ring left. Right, so he must have done Dark Souls 2 already. So there you go. Anyway, upcoming streams. Next stream is going to be Monday, and that's going to be Dark Souls 2. Stream after that is going to be Tuesday, and that's going to be Bloodborne. Wednesday is going to be more Talos 2. Thursday is going to be more Dark Souls 2. Friday is going to be more It Takes Two with Pikachu. Probably followed by some more Bloodborne. And then next Saturday is going to be more Talos Principle 2. Lots of 2s in there. If for any reason my streaming schedule should change, then I'll announce it on social media, which currently means X, formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and the Meta Threads, and I'll also announce it on our Discord server. Thank you again for joining me, everyone. Thank you to everyone that keeps me company in chat, and thank you to everybody that lurks. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to everyone that's watching me on YouTube. I appreciate you too. You're all the reason that I do this, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your days. Let's set up that raid now. There's a 10-second delay on the raid. Ooh, nearly there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, we're raiding now. Have a great night, everybody.